Hi there, welcome to your practice. We're going to start this one standing. You could also start it seated in a chair if you prefer. And just begin to shift a little side to side. In this practice, we're exploring giving your body credit. And I wanted to start us off with a quote from Hilary Kinavy and Dana Sturdivant from the Center for Body Trust. This is from their book. What if you did not need to fix yourself? What if this journey is about opening yourself to the wholeness that is alive and present in your body right now? I don't know if I'm the only one who is feeling both called out and inspired by that. I love that as a frame for our practice. We're just going to keep bringing ourselves back to that invitation of remembering our wholeness and our aliveness, nothing to fix. So we're going to start to sway a little bit more side to side. Maybe you step your feet even a little wider. And I'm kind of lifting up my heels as I sway. You could lift up your whole foot. You could keep the feet flat. Just kind of find a rhythm that works for you. Next time you're on the right, we're just going to stay over there and add a side stretch. Maybe you want to keep it more static, or maybe you'd like to start to move a little bit around it. Just exploring through space. And whenever you're ready, you can find yourself over on the left. Same thing here, maybe starting to the side and then beginning to explore. So we're not asking the body to do anything rigid. Even though we use the word pose, we are not striking a pose and trying to hold it frozen. This is a very responsive practice. When you're ready, we're going to come back to center. Maybe step your feet back to your comfortable standing position. We're going to bend the knees just however much is comfortable, and then press through the feet and stand up. So if you like, you can start to bend the knees a little more and stand up. So this is just the practice right now, bending and then standing. And you could always do, shift side to side instead, or make another movement that works for you if bending and straightening is not available. Now, this next time, we're going to let the arms dangle down, and then when we come up, we're going to roll the shoulders up and back. So arms come down, we come up, roll back. So, of course, your arms were coming down the first time too, or maybe just being a little bit more aware of that as we go. And as we kind of continue with this similar movement, this time we're going to add on bringing the elbows up, and when we come up and back, we're going to take the elbows back. So arms come down, elbows come up and back. It's an opportunity to notice what story, if any, you have about what's going on with your body right now. So maybe you, like me, hear a little crackling in the knee. Maybe this movement is not available to you today and you're doing something else. We're going to come back to center here and just pause. Step the feet a little bit wider. And then we'll start to circle. I think many of us have been raised to see times when certain movements are not available to our bodies. as problems that we need to solve. Like, oh, why can't my body do this? That's the voice that I talk to myself in sometimes, that tone. And I love to think about it instead with a little shift, or maybe it's a big shift actually, which is, wow, my body is telling me what I need today. What a gift, because let me tell you, and whenever you're ready, you can switch directions, how many years, decades really, that I couldn't hear that from my body. And I would override and override and override because I wasn't hearing. So I actually think anytime we get a communication from the body, like, wow, shout out, body. Thank you so much. Now, if you like, you can start to circle the hips in more of a figure 8 and just find whatever direction comes to you first. And as you go along, if you find a place you'd like to stop and hold, maybe you find a little stretch you'd like to feel into, go for it. If you'd like to continue the circles instead or do something else, these are all suggestions. Now, this is always a little tricky for my mind, so just take a moment, come back to center. If you're doing the figure 8s, go the other direction. I always feel like a record scratch in my mind, like, wait, how do I go the other direction? But the body finds the way. And be feeling the sensation of the feet on the ground as you go along with this. And then whenever you feel even-ish, side to side, it'll be a little different for each of us, depending on when we started, you can come on back to center. And again, just for a moment, let's step the feet back. Maybe just rock a little front and back. If your feet want a little stretch, you could flip them over. Stretch the top of the foot. And we'll step the feet wide again. And we're going to begin to just shift side to side. And you can press more through one foot, and maybe that kind of brings you up and you move a little. Maybe you shift directions. We're just playing with our relationship to gravity, with our ability to pivot and move, to feel the sensation of our connection to the earth. Remembering the earthiness of our own body, we're just shifting through the feet. Sometimes that takes you in another direction. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it takes you more up. Sometimes it takes you more down. And when you're ready, we're going to come down for something a little different. And if you have your blocks, you might like to use them just to help you come on down. I like to just press my hands on there for a little support. So the little bit different thing that we're going to do is a mid-practice rest. So we're not waiting for the end, though we will come back at the end. And I invite you to come into a position that's comfortable for you. I'm going to stay seated just because I'm going to be reading you a poem in a moment. But I really encourage you to lay down if that's comfortable. And if you prefer to sit on the mat, or if you're in a chair, stay in the chair, that is also very welcome. So whatever position you're in, start to settle yourself in. I am noticing I'd like to add my blanket to my seated position. And we're just making movements, big or small. If you're laying down, you might like to start with your knees bent. You might like to keep your knees bent the whole time. And we're just giving our body this moment of rest because I feel like we don't get enough. And so giving that body 2 opportunities in one practice is not too much. So I'm going to share this poem from Nikita Gill while you're resting. Every day is not an opportunity to improve yourself. Some days are just there for you to accept yourself and look at the clouds. This too is growth. This too is rising. Just existing is enough on some days. The flowers do it every day and make the world more beautiful just by being here. So do you. So we'll just stay here a little while longer. Letting that poem into wherever it would be helpful for it to land in your body, in your spirit. And now giving your body an opportunity to speak. So there's going to be an invitation from here into some more movement. But before we get there, before I offer that, I would really like you to check in with your body and see if you're ready for that, if you want that. Your body might be saying, I'd like to stay here. And if so, I hope you will honor that. Maybe your body is ready for some little micro movements. If you're going to join me in what I'm doing, you can make your way to seated if you're not there already. I'm getting an image or a reminder of when kids play together, but it's side by side, like they're each doing their own thing, parallel play. And we might be doing a parallel play practice today, and I love that idea. So if you are joining me in this particular invitation, we're going to take the legs wide to start. And I'm going to grab my blocks and put them on either side of my right leg. You might like to do that as well. We're going to bring the hands to the belly, move the belly down towards the pelvis, maybe in a little bit, and then turn to face the right leg. So that might require adjusting your leg in some position, closer in or further out. And we're going to inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, keep the spine extended, start to fold forward. And if your hands are on the blocks like mine are, we're not trying to find a perfect position for the blocks just yet. Not that a perfect position even exists, but we're just starting and seeing where is a good place to fold forward, what feels okay for your back of your leg, for your spine, for your hips. And once you find that position, then you can support yourself with blocks. So maybe that means walking the blocks more forward, keeping the arms extended. Maybe you want to put them in some position where you could rest your elbows onto them. So let it be an experiment. The blocks are supporting us, not the other way around. And again, yay body if you get here and you're like, oh, this wasn't quite right. I need to adjust. And you make the shift or adjustment that you need. I think I need that. I'm going to bring my blocks just a little smidge closer towards me. And sometimes what the body is communicating is, I feel good here. This is a place for me to be. So we're not asking the body to always be telling us to make a change, but just being right here, right now, with whatever is present. Let's take a few more breaths here. Whenever you're ready on your next inhale, you can keep your chin lightly tucked and slowly come on up. And now we're going to switch sides. So you might like to move the belly again, turning to face the left side. And hands can be on the blocks or not as we get started. We're going to inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, start to fold forward. When you get where you're going, supporting yourself with blocks. For me, it is quite different on this side. And so I have adjusted my position accordingly. And what's interesting for me in this moment is that typically I feel that my left side is a little more open than my right side, but today that's not true. And I might have missed that had I come in with my idea about what my body is like. And now I get to meet my left side, by which I mean meet myself where I am. Of course, as you hold, if you find any shifts or adjustments you'd like to make, you're welcome to. I just keep coming back in my mind to that question I brought in at the beginning of the practice. What if you did not need to fix yourself? Whew. I feel like that's one of those life questions for me. Who would I be? What would I do if I wasn't making my body, my life, a project? Take a few more breaths on this side. When you're ready on an inhale, you can slowly come on up. And then you can move your blocks so they're within your reach. In a moment, we're going to lay down, but you don't need to have them right here. We'll take a moment to just see if there's any other movements you might like to make from seated, if you are seated, or from wherever you are. I'm always surprised, although I don't really know why I'm surprised, but my body has so much more wisdom than I typically do give it credit for, and knows, oh, this would feel really good after those forward bends. And I didn't have to, study a textbook or whatever, consult an outside expert to know that. When you are ready, if you'd like, and if you're not there already, you can join me in coming to lie down. So I moved my blanket so I could have it under my head. We're going to start here with the knees bent, feet flat on the mat. You rock the knees gently side to side. And find your own rhythm. It's feeling pretty good for me to stay with my knees relatively upright. But maybe you want to take it over, let the knees drop. You could keep that going, or you could stay to one side. You're welcome to keep this going. And when you're ready, if you're ready to move to something else, we'll bring the knees back to center. Press through the feet, scoot the hips just an inch or two to the right. And we're moving towards a twist to the left. So you can let the knees drop from here, and or you can bring the knees in towards your chest first and then let them drop over. So I mentioned having your blocks nearby because sometimes it's nice to put a block between the knees or under the bottom knee if they are unsupported. So my top knee, for example, was floating a little bit in space, so I was having to hold it. So by bringing the block here, my body can rest into the pose a bit more. Letting yourself be with what is here. And if at any point you're ready to move on from this, please go ahead. We'll take a few more breaths. Well, when you're ready, You can make your way back to center. Shift your hips to the center. I happen to still have the block between my knees, so I think I'm just going to take it with me. But if you're not using it or you've taken it out, you can always add it back. So we're going to press through the feet now, scoot the hips a little to the left, come over to the right side for a twist. Seeing where is good for you on this side. And if your chest is feeling a little squished or your neck is, I sometimes like to just bring my hand and move the skin of my chest and my neck a little bit to find a more comfortable position. Let's take a few more breaths here. When you're ready, gently making your way back to center. Now we have a little more time for a shavasana to wrap up our practice. So maybe you'd like to stay here with knees bent. You could extend the legs, maybe put a bolster underneath if you have one nearby and that's comfortable for you under your knees. You could revisit something we've done, do something else you know your body is asking for right now. Wherever you are, seeing if there's something you could shift or let go somewhere in your body. Or maybe it's in your mind, your thoughts. To let yourself be even 10% more comfortable, even 10% more supported by the ground. Let's take a few more breaths here. When you're ready, you can start to invite some movement back into your body. Maybe starting with wiggling fingers and toes, and then making whatever other movements would feel good for you. Or maybe your body is saying, no, I'm going to stay right here. Honoring the request. If you're going to come up to seated, you can make your way there slowly. Finding your way to any seated position. We won't be here that long. And if you'd like, you can join me in folding your hands together in front of your heart. We'll take the hands up to the forehead. May I think of myself with kindness. To the eyes, may I see myself with compassion. To the mouth, may I speak to myself with love. And to the heart, to seal it in, we'll inhale and exhale. Thank you for practicing with me.